Let's get into speaking about the price action. We'll talk about RH real quick because he did make an interesting tweet a couple of days ago. I did resend it to you before the show, Ewok, if you wanted to pull it up. Kind of talking about prices and how prices may not be indicative of the true value of a token and things like that. We'll read exactly what he said, but a lot of people were quick to point to this and be like, oh, it sounds like RH is in cope mode and all this stuff, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I wanted to get your take on it, Ewok, in the chat. I'd love to hear the chat chime in as well once we read this tweet. So there it is. So Richard said, this was what, August 10th, so 4 days ago. Price isn't the best indicator of a coin's quality. If it were, then Bitcoin and ETH dropping 95% occasionally would have meant they sucked. In fact, they were amazing and two of the best performing assets of all time. Unfortunately, quite many coins do actually suck, and occasionally the price action matches their intrinsic suctitude. Good word. Germany dumped billions. Gox released billions. Numerous bankruptcies ate hundreds of millions in legal fees and dumped dispersed billions. That likely also caused a lot of taxable events that wouldn't have otherwise happened. A rare bunch of liquidity events in short succession doesn't speak to the quality and function of real cryptocurrency. You see a lot of people get quite upset, including me, there you go, that prices aren't giving the constant dopamine of all-time highs, as so often the 4-year cyclical case. Maybe those times are just around the corner. Volatility is the price you pay for the world's best performing asset. TLDR, price up, people think anything is good. Price down, people think anything is bad. In reality, price discovery is a messy process, and things real value is hard to ascertain. Bitcoin off financial advice. So that last sentence, I mean, is definitely true. Price discovery is a messy process. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have disastrous ups and downs and all the roller coasters you can take for years on end, as you've seen if you've been in crypto for any period of time. Yep. What do you make of that comment, though, Ewok, that this is Cope from RH, talking about the prices of things being down? Obviously, people are going to point to the purchase of Ethereum at $3,900 of a wallet associated with sacrifice funds, and ETH being down to $2,700 at the moment. Pulse Chain obviously returning to all-time lows and bouncing off of it here. What do you make of this tweet overall, and what do you think he's trying to say?
Well, he said two key things. All right. The first thing was the first sentence. Price isn't the best indicator of a coin's quality. He's probably referring to Hex right now when he's saying that, or meaning Hex. And then the next thing that he says down here is you see a lot of people quite upset, and you're not getting that dopamine, but maybe those times are right around the corner. I think that's kind of his way of saying, all right, guys, this is probably the bottom. So those two things, I think, is what I took out of that whole thing. And especially this first part, just because the price is down means people aren't right now valuing it where it should be. That'll all change. Again, green candles tend to do that, right? And I also think which we'll talk about later, but some of these court cases are definitely going to have a positive effect too, because Hex and Richard Hart in general has been nothing but gatekept for 4 or 5 years now. This is all going to change. I really think this is all going to change. So that's what I got out of it. Those two key points is Richard's basically saying, well, here we are. This is probably the bottom. Or maybe those times are just around the corner where you're getting that constant dopamine of all up. You don't look at the price to see what is really valuable. That's what I got.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's interesting to see him admit, being, occasionally getting upset because prices aren't where you want them to be. I mean, like, he is only human, I guess. But yeah, it is weird to see that. I already put that one up there, Ewok, as well as that one, but that's okay if you just want to keep, redundancy.
Hey, I'm just going to keep bouncing.
Just there you go. Yeah, spam it. But yeah, the sentiment is lower. When nobody thought Ethereum would be struggling this badly, I think at this point. Now the year's not over. We have a whole extra quarter to go with a shit ton of events happening in it that we've already discussed tonight. But yeah, it's one of those things where I went on this rant last week, and I wish I remember the commenter's name, but I really appreciated what he said in response to it. But we talked about the idea of outcome independence and not constant. I don't mean like constantly moving the goalposts when it comes to price or time or whatever else. We all Ewok and I are not like influencers. We aren't paid. We aren't. I mean, YouTube pays us a meager wage for the views that we get, but I mean, we're not. We talk about these things basically for free because we want to talk about them, and it's what we are interested in.
Yeah.
So we don't have like specific 100% set in stone expectations or anything like that. And it's one of those things where I just feel much better when I'm investing and along the journey if I'm able to divorce the actual results that I expect from wanting it every single day, and just
Yeah.
stop thinking about a time frame. Stop thinking about dude, we only got a year left. Like, this thing better get moving. You're going to be panicked. You're going to have anxiety, and you're not going to feel good. So it's like, okay, think more about the process, think more about the behaviors, and doing what you need to do every single day. Like,
Yep.
there's no reason to bitch, and you're not going to feel better by bitching if you know in your mind and your heart of hearts you're not going to invest in anything else. Like, if this is what you believe is the winner this cycle, which obviously we both deeply feel that way, I'm going to keep DCAing blindly. I mean, I'm just not gonna, maybe I'll look at some price levels and make it, informed DCA. But like,
Sure.
I'm just going to keep doing the same thing and sit back and relax and wait, and
Yep.
not think about the results so much. So,
No, I agree, and I think if you are looking for that dopamine hit, then crypto it's probably not the right place to be, because when you do experience that final bull run, that blow off top that we all look for, it happens in such a short period of time, and then you've got 3.5 years of just torture and pain. Um,
mhm.
if you're that addicted to it, you should probably find yourself something else that brings you enjoyment, because for the
Yeah.
time of a full cycle, and your only time you're really getting those dopamine hits is a very condensed portion of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business. I just,
Definitely.
yeah, you
I
need
mean,
to
you're
be
going to have a
somewhere else.
horrible time. I can attest to it. Ewok can attest to it. People that have been here for a cycle or two can attest to it. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, if you're on the pulse, no pun intended, of crypto every single day, covering it like as much as we do, or some of the other channels and stuff like that, the overwhelming majority of your experience is going to be horrible. Like, it's just so funny. Now, I mean, if you, I'll say that with the caveat, like with a qualifier of like, if you're constantly wanting price to go up and you're so attached to it, yeah, you're going to have a horrible experience. But
Yeah.
if you can divorce yourself, have a long-term mindset, and be thinking like, okay, like as soon as whenever this cycle does top, assuming it hasn't already, knock on every piece of wood I can find, um, you know, you know that it's going to be absolute utter horrible pain for 3+ years. Like,
Yep.
if you look
Yep.
back at September to December of 2021, it was the beginning of the end, and just hurt, pain all the way through. And then
Yeah.
2022, relentless, just curb stompage of you and your bags. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. So, um, yeah,
Yep.
not to end off on a horrible point like that, but
Balls
yeah.
of steel. That's what it really takes to make it through these okay, and just know what's coming on the other side.
Hmm.
Being here before twice now, um,
Hmm.
allows me to know what's coming. So
Hmm.
these prices don't bother me too much. I'm already pretty much mostly invested. I still DCA here and there, but the majority of the money and the capital that I wanted to put in, I've put in. So I'm there. I'm just now. It's just a waiting game.
Yeah. Yep, that's pretty much it. So just try to divorce yourself from those results and focus on the process. I think it's the best thing everybody can do.